Dr. NGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Madurai, Chennai. Dr. NGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Madurai, Chennai.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Hope everyone is safe and sound at your end. Well, I'm Niveda Rajat, Assistant Professor from the Department of Human Resource Management, shall be your host for the day. It's my privilege to extend a warm welcome to our guest of honor and speaker for the day, Mr. MAQBOOL Basha, CEO and Business Head at Criticalys Info Management Private Limited. I would also like to give my heartiest welcome to the eminent organizers of this webinar on College to Corporate Enabling Through Right Skills. Before we commence, I would like to inform all our participants that the feedback and assessment form will be available in the YouTube description box at the end of the session. You are requested to complete and submit the form before 6 p.m. today. Later, the form will be deactivated. The EAT certificate for participation will be sent to your registered email ID within 3 working days. I now call upon Dr. Jain, Head of the Department, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Niveda. Good afternoon to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the Department of Human Resource Management, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute University, in association with IIHRD for this national level webinar on College to Corporate. Heartfelt thanks to our Founder Chancellor, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam Sir, and to our Honorable President, Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar Sir, for their never-ending support in conducting various programs. Hearty welcome to Mr. Shazar Ali, Director, IT and Engineering, IIHRD from Hyderabad. Welcome and thank you so much for your presence, sir. A cheerful welcome to our Deputy Dean, Dr. V.N. Rajavarman of Phase 2 Campus for his presence. Welcome and thank you so much for gracing this occasion, sir. College to Corporate is a very wonderful topic, which is a life-changing transformation in every student's life. Today, we have a very eminent and multi-talented speaker, Mr. MAQBOOL Basha, to enrich the faculty how to train the students from college to corporate and the students how they have to develop themselves from college to corporate. Hearty welcome and thank you for your presence, and we are all waiting to hear it from you, sir. A very warm welcome to all the participants who has registered from all over the world, and a special welcome to our first year's students who have joined in this webinar. A very warm welcome to all others dignitaries of our university, heads and faculty members. Besides, I would like to welcome, last but not the least, our technical support people, Mr. Ganesh Babu and Ms. Akshaya, for their wonderful support in conducting various programs. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I now request our respected Deputy Dean, Dr. Rajavarman, to deliver the felicitation address. Over to you, sir.
Very good afternoon to all. Happy today. And on behalf of our Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute, first of all, I would like to thanks to our chief guest of honor, Mr. MAQBOOL Basha, CEO Business Head, and Shakur Ali for coming and accepting our invitation and joining here. And also on behalf of our management and our young and eminent personality, Arun Kumar, I wish and I congratulate you. Thank you one and all. That particularly very much proud about the department. The department is the youngest department in the university. The Department of Human Resource Management for conducting and initiating these wonderful events. More events are conducted already. Conducting and this event, particularly during this pandemic situation. I'm very happy, I congratulate. Especially, I wish the head of the department, Dr. Jayam, and all the staff members of the departments for giving wonderful support and conducting like these webinar and events today. Also, particularly staff members, the Niveda, Miss Niveda, Mrs. Vasanti, and Miss Ramya and Miss Akshaya for giving behind of this event, giving more hard works and doing backbone of this event for in smooth manner. So really, I wish you, and I congratulate again and wish all of the participants of this webinar today. And I hope sharing the knowledge and gathering the knowledge by this webinar, the title of enabling through right skills, college to corporate. Okay. But I can say only two things. You want to move from college to corporate, everybody should have the self-confidence first. In my experience, self-confidence. You have to face a lot of difficulties. So first you improve the self-confidence. That's we have to give in some ways, some teaching methods we have to apply and increase the self-confidence of the students level. Another one is presence of mind. In my experience, no need to go by rule. Always you have to think only about what we are going to do now, right now. You have to change. That's you have to get immediately. The presence of mind is very, very important. You have to stand in corporate companies. So don't go in a one line, one way. So you have to change time to time. That's a capacity you have to improve. These two only is I saw. So by this webinar, you have to get something to improve your how to move with the society, how to move with friends, how to move with your boss, and how to make ourselves in the corporate company environments. Right. Once again, I wish all of you and make this event, make this webinar in a grand manner. Thank you, Ananda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now call upon Mr. Shazur Ali, Director, IT and Engineering, IIHRD, Hyderabad, to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. I'm seeing on YouTube's chat that people are from all over the world, from Philippines, from Oman are joining us, and very good morning and afternoon to all of you. From my part, we at IHRD would like to thank the respected President, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar, respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Geeta Lakshmi, and so especially the Dean, Dr. Manivarnan, for his continuous support with us. And I would also like to thank Deputy Dean, Dr. S. Rajavarman, sir. We also would like to thank the head of department, the head of Department of HR Management, Dr. R. Jayam, for facilitating the webinar with us. We, on behalf of the entire team at IIHRD, I take this opportunity to thank Mr. MAQBOOL Basha for accepting to deliver a webinar with us. We are grateful to you, sir. Thank you very much. We also thank all the dignitaries, the faculty members, the students, and the IHRD group members. So I would want to give a little bit intro about IHRD. IHRD, it provides a platform for talent acquisition so that we can conduct recruitments for higher education institutions. This includes faculty and non-faculty members of academic fraternity, because we believe there must be a free flow of talent between academia and industry to academia. So this is one of the main reason IHRD is acting on. We also provide end-to-end support in campus recruitment drives, both for higher educational institutions and organizations of any size. Another important initiative from us is to provide internships to various disciplines. This includes facilitating projects from companies to institutions and vice versa. Or we also organize different assessments to evaluate the aptitude tests so as to make these students industry ready. We also call for and encourage the students community to write articles or write stories, and we publish them on our website. Um, this would we issue them an appreciation certificates. It is an encouragement for them to articulate the business cases. It will immensely help building articulative skills and communication skills for the students. Last but not the least, we are organizing more webinars in association with Dr. MGR University on digital business transformation next week, that is 7th of December, and another webinar on application of data analytics using SPSS, that would be on 9th of December, and many more in the future to come. We hope you get more insights from them. Finally, as far as the issuance of certificates is concerned, I see a lot of people would ask in the YouTube chat. We request the participants to note that it is the prerogative of Dr. MGR University. We request all the participants to present during the entire webinar and submit the feedback link. So it will be kept active for 2 hours upon concluding this webinar, else you may not be able to get this certificate. So IHRD can't intervene in this. Please understand and cooperate. So make sure you fill the feedback form right after the webinar is over. All right. So I will pass it on to you again. Thank you very much, and I hope you will love this webinar. It's very important for all the students to know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Ms. Ramya, Assistant Professor from the Department of Human Resource Management, to introduce our eminent chief guest. Over to you, Ms. Ramya.
Thank you, Ms. Niveda. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to introduce our eminent speaker, Mr. MAQBOOL Basha. MAQBOOL Basha is qualified master in MTech, Microwaves and Optical Communication Engineering from IIT. He is working as IT leader with 25 years of demonstrated experience across the world in handling diverse areas of business, technologies, and domains, including delivering successfully many medium and large IT projects across the world. He is also a well-established, passionate, compassionate, visionary, unconventional, and national innovator, thinker, developer, business leader. His expertise spans across IT strategy, program, project, account management, service delivery management, development, knowledge management and training, stakeholder management, pre-sales. He has 5 years of global project delivery experience while working at USA, UK, Malaysia, UAE, Colombia, and Qatar. He has hands-on experience in software development of applications, products, and frameworks using Java, Android, PHP, Python, Squirrel language, SQLite, MongoDB, web services, JSON, etc. He has been an entrepreneur, founding and running successfully 2 companies besides establishing and managing India centers for a couple of US-based companies from end-to-end perspective. He drove critical healthcare information system projects for Primary Healthcare Corporation Qatar. His accolades are efficiently provided training to several corporate entities on behalf of BMI, PCC in project management, soft skills leadership, including agile practices like interactive methodology, Scrum, Situations, Fluency. Bestwood with awards by PMI PCC, consistent support, key contributor, star trainer during 2009 to 2010. 2010 to 2011 and 2011 to 2012 in the PM workshops conducted by PMI and PCC. On behalf of Dr. MJ University and Department of Human Resource Management, we wish you all the success in future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramya. I once again take this opportunity to inform all our registrants that the feedback assessment form will be available in the YouTube description box at the end of the session. You are requested to complete and submit the form before 6 p.m. today. Later, the form will be deactivated. The e-certificate for participation will be sent to your registered email ID within 3 working days. Now, the most awaited time has arrived. Without any further delay, I welcome our guest of honor and speaker for the day, Mr. MAQBOOL Basha, to proceed with his presentation. Sir, we request you to take over the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please welcome to this webinar. Before I proceed, I just want to make sure that I am audible and clear on the line because of the various constraints that the lockdown is posing. We are all working from home. So if there is any problem in hearing me clearly, please write a chat to the moderator and probably she will take care of it. Because this session is going to be a little bit of fun. I'm going to share all my practical knowledge. It's not going to be a theory at all. I personally do not like theories not much, though they are very useful. I will start off with a story. I was teaching in REC Warangal, my kind of first job in NIT now. It is. So when I was delivering the lecture, I asked the student at the last row, "Am I audible to you?" He said, "It doesn't matter." Then I was like, wow, I was surprised. I mean, generally a student will not say to the teacher like that. So I knew that he was also a good guy. So I asked him, what exactly is the problem? Say it in your local language. He said something in Telugu, which actually means it is not a matter of concern. When he actually translated it into English, it became it doesn't matter, which conveyed a totally different meaning. So communication is one of the very important aspects which we'll be talking about as we go by in the webinar. I just wanted to quote that example. But before I go any further, I really want to thank the Dr. MGR University and the entire management and faculty for inviting me to this webinar and share my experiences that I've gathered last 30 years across the world, interacting with young minds especially. I do not want to take the individual names of the university, and I am very grateful and thankful to the entire management and the faculty of the university. Some of the names that I know, I will just thank them from the bottom of my heart. Dr. Raja, the Deputy Dean, Dr. Jayam, the head of the department, Mr. Shazur Ali, Ms. Nivedita, and Ms. Ramya. Generally, again, on the lighter vein, I do not like to take individual names because you tend to forget the most important name in your life. Once I actually was thanking somebody on the award ceremony on the stage, and I forgot my wife's name. And you know how it is when you come back home. So I really thank all of them for this opportunity. Let's see how it's going to be, and I want to set a bit of a disclaimer before we go further because we live in the world of disclaimers. I'm going to talk about a lot of humor, anecdotes, examples. Some of them involve families, cultures, countries, religions. Please do understand that this is only to drive the point in a positive way where you can relate it to it. It doesn't mean that some countries are better than some countries or some cultures are better than some cultures. Nothing negative intended. I generally respect people, cultures, religions, and all that. So please be aware of that. I might also be using a masculine gender, which is mine, but please do take it as a gender neutral reference because this is for all. I don't mean to say that this is only for the boys, something like that. I probably may not be following the structure of the PPT also, while I will try my best to do that. Because this session, I want it to be a little informal. because the topic itself is that. The moment you try to mold it into a very structured theoretical approach, that loses its significance. So I want this to be a little bit of a friendly, fun-oriented lecture where I share all my individual experiences mentoring a lot of newbies, students into the soft skills world. Obviously, when I talk about right skills, I'm only going to focus on soft skills. I'm not going to focus on hard skills, though I will refer to the difference between the two a little bit for you to understand the context. Once again, I really want to, kind of thank Dr. Raja because not only that he just clinched the fact of the soft skills in two scenarios, but also he happens to come from a industry background. He worked in the industry for a long time and he shifted into academia, whereas mine is the reverse actually. I worked in the academia for a long time and moved into the industry. I don't know which transition is difficult, but it's just that fact. He talked about two factors. One is he said you need to have self-confidence. And the other one he's talked about is you need to have the common sense. I think you don't need me actually. Dr. Raja clinched the fact with two sentences. It just talks about the entire soft skills that you can learn. But I will still, just because I need to cover some 30 minutes, I will elaborate on those points as we move forward. One of the things which I always say when I start my training is, do not ask or give to others what you do not want for yourself or you would not have wanted for yourself. Your training is over. This is the most important thing. If you understand this, then the soft skills have come naturally to you. What exactly is this soft skills concept which has been pounded upon, beaten upon, a lot of hype, lot of fashion? Soft skills is not a course that anybody can teach in 2 weeks as a checklist item, as a ritualistic item, and then say, thank you very much, you are now enabled, go into the world and conquer the world. No, not at all. Because as you can see, no matter how many times we tell these facts to the students, they either do not understand that, nor they will follow it. That is the reason why you still see that many people are not getting jobs. Even if you get jobs, they are not able to sustain in a very happy environment in the companies. They either fail. I'll come to that disadvantages a little bit, but I'm just trying to set the context. It is very, very important that you need to learn it as a way of life. What is the soft skills? Is it some kind of a rocket science or I'll give you some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 steps? Nobody can do that because it's a way of life. When you go to somebody's house in our culture, you leave the footwear outside. In many Western countries, people do not do that, but you leave that footwear outside the house. What is it? That is soft skills. That is simply soft skills. You honored, you respected the preferences, the respect for the house, and then you left the footwear and went into the house. And we all have soft skills inbuilt into us. It is just that it has been made into a kind of a rocket science. Some people coming in trying to teach you for 2 weeks and things like that. Another important thing which I want to mention is that again, when I say something, it doesn't mean that it is for all. Always there are exceptions. When I talk about teachers in the institutions, it doesn't mean that all teachers are like that. I have been a teacher and I have a large respect for the teaching academia, but this is just like a more friendly discourse kind of a thing. There is some concept called an oxymoron. Oxymoron is two words joined together with dissimilar meanings. The most popular one is a happy marriage. The reason why the people say it's a jovial one anyway, but many people say is marriage can never be happy. I mean, it's a joke. And a very loving manager. These two are two different words. An orthodontist with a crooked teeth, an obese trainer. So what has happened is, just because people have misunderstood the soft skills as English, for example, just one example. If somebody speaks fluent English, or if he is very energetic on the dais or speaking, he has a lot of good soft skills. Not necessarily. You can always be a very silent person, speaks less, not speaks great English or any great language, not only English, either it is Tamil or Telugu or Hindi. It is about being truthful to the purpose, being objective. We'll go and see what are those misunderstandings that the world has, how they are actually translating into harm for the students when they go into the corporate world, especially into the global turf. We'll talk about it. Another misconception is many people think that Westerners, the Western countries, the people from Western countries automatically have good soft skills. Not necessarily. Again, I know a few of my friends who worked with me in the Middle East recently. They come from a different culture from the UK, and they had very difficult time handling the local culture there. So what I'm translating Dr. Raja's presence of mind concept, which I have a very serious concept, which I've designed over a period of time, is that is called a situational fluency. If you understand situational fluency, you got the soft skills and you don't need any further training. The two things you remember. One is do not ask or give to others what you do not want for yourself. And the second one is be aware of the situational fluency. Let me take a small story to depict the importance of situational fluency. There is this guy who wanted to do horse riding, who wanted to learn horse riding. So he went to his friend and then said, I wanted to do horse riding. And he borrowed a book from him on horse riding and then started reading the entire book. After reading the book, he got onto the horse and then started riding it, and he fell down. He went to his friend and complained, saying that, hey, I read the entire book and I still fell down. The friend said, unfortunately, the horse didn't read that book. So, very rightly said, it's not about just following the hard-coded rules. What is appropriate for you is not appropriate, may not be appropriate for other people. So if all you have is a hammer, everything will look like a nail to you. You will start, driving it. So be flexible, have the situational fluency in mind, respect the cultures. First, understand the cultures and respect them. You cannot just do the same thing that you have been doing in your culture or in your country or in your company or college and go into the other part of the world and start doing the same. Just again, to give you a lighter vein example, everyone in the US smiles at even strangers. They will say, some of them will say, hey, darling, hey, sweetheart, how are you doing, and all that. They say that to everyone. Don't think that they're saying it to you and go after them, actually. So when you come back from the US, you tend to carry that mindset that, hey, smiling is good with even strangers. Nothing wrong with that. But you got to also be aware of the situational fluency and the context, the local context. Suppose you got onto an elevator in a place where there is only one girl on the other side and one boy on the other side of in the elevator, and you suddenly start smiling at the girl, or as I told you in the disclaimer, I'm not just referring to girl and boy. It could be other way also. I'm just taking it as one example. So please bear with that. If you smile at the girl might get very suspicious and it might even be taken as offensive. So the rule that smiling at everyone is a good thing doesn't have to be true always. But what is true and what has to be true is that you cannot have a negative body language. Without smiling also, you can have a very pleasant body language, neutral body language. One of the concerns that I had with Dr. Jayam when they asked me to talk about this topic, I mean, fortunately, I'm an expert in this subject, but one of the concerns is that soft skills is not actually a subject that is taught. It is driven. It has to be mentored, monitored over a period of long time, because there is a lot of unlearning and relearning needed here. So I told her that on the webinar, it's going to be a little difficult because most of the communication happens paralingual. Paralingual means there is no verbal communication involved. It is only about the body language, how you express. So 70% of the communication happens with the paralingual communication is the best practices in the world mentioned. Just for example, active listening. If somebody is talking to you, especially say, for example, your manager or your customer, active listening doesn't mean you keep listening to him forever or try to act like you're listening. Active listening means you convey to that other person that you are actually listening to him or her. How do you do that? You do that by your body language anyway. And you also sometimes ask for clarifications and rephrase the concept that he's saying in terms of questions. For example, somebody might now, when I'm talking like this, can say that, oh, you mean to say this, sir? Then I will say yes. That means the other person will understand that you are listening to him. So paralingual communication is a very important concept. Unfortunately, what happened is in our world, soft skills has been thought as a very, very different subject. I don't know the reasons for it, and I'm not going to go into what could be the selfish agendas or business reasons for that. But I have seen that many people who come to me into the corporate world, especially freshers, because of my background that I have had in the academia and also in the IT, many management asked me to receive the younger folks who are joining the companies fresh first, because I will mentor them a little bit before I let them go into the. I see that they are so great people, so nice people. They are so passionate, they are interested, but they are so unpolished, unrefined, because they have not been groomed well. I mean, they have been groomed in a different way, and they try to use it exactly the same, and unfortunately fail. Um, just for example, let us go into the college aspect. Again, I really don't want some of the colleges to be taking it in an offensive way, because I don't mean that it's every college, but I'm talking about some scenarios. Many colleges these days, what they're doing is just to attract the crowd. They say that our college has a very open-minded culture, very great soft skills enabling atmosphere. What are those? They are they will force girls and boys to mingle with each other. They will make them sit in the same bench. They will see that the interaction is more. They will kind of see that they all wear trendy clothes. Why do you need to do that? If our culture is not to mingle with boys and girls, you don't really have to. You will be thinking that when you practice this and when you go to Western countries or Middle Eastern countries or some other countries, this will be a disadvantage. Not at all. People respect your culture, your confidence, your religions, your practices. The only thing that you need to say is you cannot be rigid or flexible, but you need to convey to them with a little bit of polite humility and obedience that, hey, you know what, this is my culture, and unfortunately in my culture it is not allowed, so I'm sorry about it. For example, many people, when they go to the party, company party, for example, I saw some younger people trying to eat with the fork, and then trying to tear the food, and sometimes even throw the food out of the table, and a lot of difficulty. You don't need to do all of that. You can only politely say that, hey, you know what, if you don't mind, can I please eat it with my hand, because this is how we have been trained and eating at our houses and our culture. And only make sure that you are not very clumsy in eating. Maybe you're not putting it here and things like that. Of course, you will not do that. But I'm saying getting into that kind of a thing is not teaching you soft skills at all. So this is the reason why many younger people, when they go through the training, go to the corporate world, they feel that what's going on? We had the training and we are still having a lot of stress, because you learned it wrongly, right? You learned the soft skills, correct ones, but in a wrong way. So I have seen many people now getting onto the flight first time. What they do is they tend to now fake a lot of things. They tend to feel like, we have been flying since our childhood, and then they will be struggling with their seatbelt. Why do you need to do that? You can always be very shameless about it. I mean, of course, I'm using the word shameless in a jovial way, and then ask the air hostess or some helper in the flight to say that, look, I'm flying for the first time. Can you please help me with how to fix this seatbelt? They will be very polite about it. Believe me, they will only not like you if you are faking. See, that's the problem with our way of learning things. So when I got onto the flight in 1995, when I was flying to the UK, I was flying for the first time. After that, I flew for about 20 years. It's a different story. So I was struggling with my seatbelt, and then I did not want to do that. So I immediately said, excuse me, can you please help me? This is my first time in the flight. She said, sure, sir, I will help you. And then she showed me, and I observed it, and then I remembered it for the rest of my time. So this is the self-confidence that you need to have within yourself. Soft skills is about respecting others. But more importantly, it is also respecting yourself. It is having a self-confidence and feeling good about yourself, the self-esteem. Don't have to be arrogant about it, right? You can always be polite, but still be assertive about it. Hey, you know what? We eat with hand. We don't use forks. I'm flying it for the first time. I don't know this culture. I don't know this thing. You can always keep asking. So what happened is, because of this misunderstanding of the subject, many training institutes have come up which teach you soft skills for 100 rupees. It's very attractive. I mean, because you always see for the money, and then you go and join the institute. Unfortunately, the guy is an oxymoron guy. I mean, not all of them again. Oxymoron guy, meaning he himself needs soft skills. How can he teach you? He must not have stepped out of Hyderabad or India or Tamil Nadu or wherever. But again, I'm being very careful here. I don't mean to say that somebody who has not stepped out of his place or country doesn't know soft skills. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying more relatable soft skills he would have gotten if he had worked in various corporates and across the world and cultures. So what he does is he speaks good English, and many people get impressed and they rate him as, hey, thank you very much. But when they go into the turf to face the real world, they started feeling the heat, that lot of stress, and they don't know how to interact with the person. Our people start calling managers and especially the Western customers, sir. Sir is a knighthood for them. It's like a knighthood. It's a award. So they don't like them to call sir. They would want you to call them with the first name. Our culture doesn't permit us to call elders with their first name. But unfortunately or fortunately, when you are getting into a different transition, you need to kind of practice it in a polite way. I mean, don't call your teachers in the academia by their first name. That is not our culture too. But at the same time, you need to know, when you transition from college to corporate, you need to also change, adapt. Have two hats. Keep varying in the situational fluency. Don't have that hard-coded rules that we did not do it here, so we cannot do it here. Something like that. At the same time, when you are working in Western countries for a long time, you will be used to calling people with the first names. But when you go to Middle East, there people call everyone by Mr. and Miss. This is again another change. So that's why I'm saying many people have a misconception that Western people have automatically the soft skills. Not necessarily. It's cultural, it's situational, it is contextual. So when I went first time, I'm a very friendly guy and a jovial guy, and I'm a very social guy. So I started interacting with them, and I called a couple of them with their first names. They didn't punish me. They didn't beat me. They are good people. But there is a little bit of frown. You know what? There is a little bit of discomfort. So I studied that, observed it, and then I adapted it myself, and I started calling them Mr. and Miss. So it's a simple thing. When you go to a place, find out what is appropriate at that place, and then start acting. That's why I mentioned you need to unlearn a lot and learn a lot. For example, when you keep encouraging this culture of, despite our cultures, despite our preferences, you need to forcibly mingle. The boys especially will carry this mindset, bad mindset of being physically close to the girls, and also probably using not so corporate language with them. When they go into the corporate, what they do is they go very close to some of the girls that they are there, and then it might be misconstrued as a sexual harassment. Again, guys, I'm being very careful here. I'm not saying only a boy does to the girl. It could be the other way also, but I'm just as an example using this because we live in the world of disclaimers. So many people will not understand that sexual harassment means only something you need to do physically, maybe hold the hand and something like that. No, even something which is indirectly having a sexual connotation in a joke or a word, not even directed to that person. Even if you are talking to somebody else with a indirect insinuation there, that might be construed, and the girl might report to the HR, and you might land yourself into trouble. Forget about the job. So what I'm saying is, this is all very important for you to understand the turf, the rules, the policies. There is no rocket science. There is, many people say, you know what? I'm sorry, ma'am, the moderator. I'm actually not sharing my PPT. See, this is the problem with me when I keep talking. Do you want me to do that, please?
No problem, sir. You can continue.
I can continue. Can you please let me flash the screen?
No problem, sir. You can continue without the PPT.
All right. How is it going, ma'am?
Yes, everything is
Far, so
going
good?
good. Everything is going
Very
good.
nice. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. So, so many people, when they go into the company, they start misunderstanding those things. So it's very important to inculcate a culture. Let me give you another lighter vein example. When you get married, again, it could be a boy or a girl going into the other house. What is the first thing that you do? You will tend to know about the other house. It's a natural thing that you do. Nobody tells you this. How is the mother-in-law? How is the father-in-law? How many brothers are there? How many sisters are there? How do they eat? What do they not like? What do they like? How do you, enter the house? Eat stuff like that. That is nothing but soft skills. Soft skills is not about a hard-coded rule. It is about knowing the other person's preferences and culture, and then adapting yourself to that, and also conveying your preferences and culture to them. This is the most important thing. It's a two-way thing. It is not only one way. But because if you do keep doing one way, it will look like you are being a sycophant. You're trying to impress in a very hard way, right? So let me quote another example. When I went into the Middle East, I found something very new. Guys do not understand that Middle East is a conservative country. US is a very non-conservative country, or Malaysia or Singapore or India is nothing like that. There is nothing like a right or wrong. It is only contextual. I was waiting for an elevator, and the elevator door opened, and there was a lady in that elevator, the only lady, and I was about to go in. My friend stopped me, and then we asked for permission. May I come in, ma'am, if you don't mind? Then she said, no problem, please come in. So that's the culture that is. If there is only a single lady there, you need to either ask for permission or let the lift go away and wait for another lift. This is just a culture. You need to respect that. You cannot say that I lived in the US or some other country for a long time, so I don't mind. I'll just go and shake the hands because I was taught soft skills means shaking hands with the opposite sex. You will land yourself into trouble. And not only that, it's not just a great way of behaving, right? And people say smiling always is a great soft skill. Somebody is sharing in the meeting that they had a calamity in the family. They had a exigency in the family. Just because somebody told you smiling is good, you're like, you're doing that. That will be very awkward also, right? I mean, another thing which I've seen with people who are so plastic and ritualistic that maintain eye contact. Maintaining eye contact doesn't mean you keep looking at the person like that when he's talking, especially if it is the opposite gender. It is again trouble. What it means to say is, don't try to be fishy about these things. You don't try to have the body language like this, because it indicates a suspicious intent within you. So maintain a neutral, passionate stance, pose, and then look at them. Sometimes even if you have to look around a little bit here and there, it's okay. It's not going to fail you in the soft skills. So these are all things which you are supposed to learn in your journey. Not I hear that many students, after the teacher is gone from the class, they do ugly things on the board and in the corridor, not respecting each other and all that. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? See, just now I said, do not give to others or ask from others what you do not want for yourself. I know it sounds very funny when somebody says you're teasing a girl, somebody says, don't you have a sister? That's a very old thing now. Maybe people laugh at it. But isn't it true? Isn't it true? When I was working in REC Warangal, there was this guy who was from the neighboring state, and he joined. He's a very frail, good guy. I was also the anti-ragging squad member because of my good interaction with the students. I feel comfortable with the students. So they found me that I should be a member of this anti-ragging squad. So at one part of night, I got a call saying that somebody's. I caught actually this guy being teased, ragged. It's way back in 20 years back. I don't know how the ragging scene now is. But 20 years back, I found a frail guy being, troubled by some seniors. Then I, got hold of them, drove them away, and then I brought this guy. He was crying, he was shivering. He said, I don't know why this ragging is there, sir. I really don't want to do this and all that stuff. And I protected him, and then I gave him some mentoring, and then I sent him back. After that, what happened was, and next year, in one part of middle of the night at 2 o'clock, I got a call saying that we caught a senior ragging somebody very severely. And when I go there, shockingly, it is this guy. It is the same guy who has been ragged and who actually vowed that he will never see that nobody else is ragged in his life. He was found ragging somebody else. So you will get it back. You will get it back. No worry about it. I mean, if you don't want to learn, no problem. You will get it back. These people who are so mischievous in the colleges, when they go to the interviews in the corporate, they will be sweating heavily. They will be, what's your name? I ask them, they will almost faint. Why do you want to do that? But guys, again, I'm one of those guys who really likes fun in life. I mean, I don't want it to be a very, very, boring life. Just to tell you just to prove that, after the class, way back in 1995 in NIT Warangal, I used to take the students to the cafeteria for drinking tea. It was a little unusual at that time, but I used to have a lot of frequency with them. I used to tell them that, guys, I'm a teacher. You are my student. We have a different culture of Guru Shishya. We have to maintain that. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have to be like you have to fear me. You don't have to be scared of me. Like, for example, you respect and fear your dad, but you're very jovial also with him, meaning you're free with him. That's the kind of relationship you need to have with me. And I also used to tell them that boys and girls have to mingle freely on the work. But there was only one difference. I used to tell them that if one of the persons, either boy or a girl, comes and complains to me that they were misbehaved at, I will take very strict action, very severe action. Until otherwise, work-related aspects, work-related interaction is totally all right. And if somebody is not feeling comfortable about it, respect them. Don't forcibly go near them, shake hands with them, and try to bring them into a mingling and all that stuff. But there are bad elements. I agree with that. It's not like there are not bad elements. When I was taking them across, somebody said, sir, it's not just tea. We need samosa also. I looked at my pocket and then said, okay, I have some money today. I'll buy you samosa also. One guy said, sir, cigarette. So there are guys who are always, mischievous, and ignore them and try to mentor them also. But what I'm saying is, this is the culture we need to have if we need to see that our students don't get stressed out in the practical world. They go into the companies, they get stressed out. Somebody leaves the job, and somebody does an extreme step of, falling sick, or maybe even something more. All these things happen because you're not being taught well, right? So the true meaning of soft skills are not being taught at. So this is one thing which I really wanted to focus on. There is no hard-coded rule. You need to be respectful to others, manage the situational fluency, convey your respect to them, your preferences to them, and have fun, keep going forward. That's all you need to do in the newer context. So some of the harms that you will get is, let me just look at soft skills. They may look like they are very unimportant. If somebody says there are so many billions of stars in the sky, we believe it, right? I mean, because we cannot count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if some board, the bench says wet paint, we all touch it to see, oh, okay, it's a wet paint. See, that's the problem. You need to know when the expert says this is soft skills, you need to understand that many people think that academic skills, mathematics, physics, chemistry, MBA, engineering, these are very important. Quite unfortunately, in India, it's a little bit more of that. Quite fortunately, there are a lot of Indians in corporate world. So it is more important that we realize the importance of soft skills in a true manner rather than anybody else in the other parts of the world. So when the soft skills are being told, have a good complement behavior of both hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are occupational skills, your subject knowledge, your academics, your job skills. Soft skills are your character traits, interpersonal skills, communication, integrity, personal grooming also. See, what happens is sometimes when you go into the other parts of the world, I have seen in the US in one of my customers, the cafeteria, Many of our folks keep talking loudly in their local language. There is nothing wrong with that, because in our cultures, it's kind of okay. But once my customer asked me, are they talking about me, Maqbool? Then I said, hey, Bob, don't worry about it. They're not talking about you. They're in general talking about themselves, but in a loud manner. And then I told them that, hey, guys, try to tone it down. Some of the things which it could be any culture. Personal grooming is very important. Don't go by my current getup. This is my COVID getup. Once the lockdown is fully gone, I'll go and have my haircut. Um, Smelling good is a universal thing. You can take it as a hard-coded rule. Nobody will say that, you know what, we want bad smelling people in our company. Nobody will say that. So smelling good, having good clothes, reasonable clothes, having moisturizers, because your hands will be ashy. All of these are good. They're all hard-coded rules. But other things, just trying to mold into that is not something which is very needed. That's what I wanted to share with you. Soft skills, again, is not like a vitamin tablet which you take it for 2 weeks course and then you're done with that. It's a way of life. I actually request the colleges a couple of things out of my experience. What they need to do is they need to, if possible, have a separate department for soft skills. I don't know how much it is possible, but I'm just giving my version of that. Like many companies have chief people officer, chief human resource officer, chief executive officer, chief operating officer. There is always a good thing to have a chief software mentor office, which will inculcate. Excuse me. This is also another thing which I want to tell you. People in the external part of the world use this excuse me, thank you, please a lot. How many times have you thanked your driver when you got down from the bus in your city bus? I'm not saying it's a bad it's a bad thing we are doing. It's our culture. We don't need to really thank that person. We just get down and then go because we bought the ticket anyway. So in the Western countries, when you take a city tour, city bus, when you are getting down, everyone specifically thanks the driver. Thank you, driver, for carrying me here. Thank you very much for bringing me safe. Thank you. So this is another thing which you probably want to practice, but don't make it very artificial and plastic. Just make it a way of life. It's always good to say thank you to a person, right? I'm actually like this, but when I lived in the US for a long time, when I came back, when I thanked my maid when she did some work, she was surprised. She was like, what's going on? So then I kind of stopped in the context doing that. So what I'm saying is have a chief soft skills mentor or employability skills. Employability skills are actually the subset of soft skills, right? Employability skills means what? See, employability skills are a subset of soft skills. Many employers in the world, I will give you infinite amount of research facts, material going on in the world where employers are feeling that we need people with soft skills. We can teach them the job skills. I mean, the real job skills, meaning how much of what you learn in your college is actually directly applicable in your companies. No, maybe I'll be surprised if it is more than 20%. But does it mean what you're doing in the college is unimportant? Not at all, because this is the journey, the process, the interaction with the great mentors, teachers that gives you the real maturity and the exposure to adapt to the future part of the world. Don't think that what you learned in the college, when it is not useful, you don't need to go to the college. Not at all true. This is very, very important precursor to the actual world, right? So having a chief soft skills mentor office and start it early in the college or schools. Doesn't have to be at the end of the college for 2 weeks. Then we put a checklist saying that our students took a soft skills training. Thank you very much. Start very early, make it a continuous way of life, and more than anything, please monitor the students. Don't have the discipline in the class, and what they do out of the class in the campus, it's none of our business. Don't do that. Try to keep talking to them, collaborate with them. Having a frequency is very, very important. If you don't, that's another part of conflict resolution that you need to have when you go into the corporate. When you work in a different teams, you will encounter conflict, right? Any conflict, it could be ego, it could be language, it could be eating habits, it could be culture, it could be competition. So conflict resolution skills also are very important. How do you manage conflict in the companies? The best thing is confrontation, meaning directly talk to the person. Don't try to avoid it or moderate it. Don't do anything. Just go and talk to him with a very objective and integrity. Hey, what's your problem? What is going on? Tell me, please. If I can help you, I will do that. Most people will listen to that. If they don't listen to you, you always have company procedures and policies to take it to the next level. There is a HR department, there are policies, procedures. But before that, you need to be very focused on the objective why you are in the company. Don't take it personal. Don't try to put somebody down, because that will now start a concept called an eye for an eye ends the whole world blind. Gandhiji said that. If you try to snub him, he will snub you too when some opportunity comes. That's not our motto right now. So this is the thing which I'm trying to talk about. Introduce the soft skills early in the company. See that teachers also are trained in soft skills, because soft skills is not something which we have to be shy about, especially when compared to the corporate world. Corporate world is a totally different world. So training teachers also in a more focused way in soft skills helps them like a train the trainer, where they can start becoming soft skills trainer in the entire college. Now the whole campus is enabled on soft skills, rather than bringing one soft skills trainer and then making him teach the soft skills to them. Teachers are very precious. But they are probably from a slightly traditional background where they teach the other things very nicely. So teaching the teachers also is a good concept. And make it a way of life, and see that they are being driven, they are being monitored, they are being assessed. Unfortunately, culture is something, soft skills is something that cannot be measured. But you can always see that the moment you make about 50+% of people behaving well in the campus, that is like everybody else fall in place, because they don't have a different kind of environment when they talk to them. So these 50% will become ambassadors to the rest of the campus. Thereby what happens is, forget about your university claiming that we got more number of jobs for the students. By doing that, you are actually doing great to the humanity itself. They will be able to do the job well, they will be able to coast along, they will get more opportunities, they will have a less stressful life, and they will be interacting with the people more meaningfully. So this is something which I actually wanted to tell you. Learn the facts in a correct way. Suppose if somebody asks you, why do we have ears? Somebody says, this is to wear glasses. Glasses, it is true, we wear glasses, but that's not the primary reason for ears. Primary reason for ears is to listen, to hear. So misconceptions are the ones which are leading to the entire failure of the entire chain of things. Nobody should teach soft skills for 2 weeks, or nobody should teach soft skills in the way they teach. They can always tell good principles, like like as I said, be respectful, have personal grooming well, smell good, respect well, don't stare at people. There is a very small difference between staring at people and maintaining eye contact. If you're not careful with these two things, it will fall into the other area, and then you will be in trouble. Like, for example, in the Western countries, if you are staring at somebody unnecessarily, they will even come to you and ask you, what's wrong with you? Why are you staring at me? Do you have a problem? So there is a difference between all of these things. For teaching that, you need to have person who drives it. It's not something which you can learn it in 2 weeks or 10 days or something like that, right? There is this guy in the class. The lecturer wanted to demonstrate the ills of alcohol, and then he took a beaker of alcohol and then put an insect in that. The insect died. He asked a student, unfortunately a mischievous student. So he asked him, what is the inference out of this? What do you deduce out of this? The guy said, to kill the insects in our stomach, we need to consume alcohol. So this is the problem. I mean, if you keep misunderstanding the concepts, you tend to get into a different world. So this is all I wanted to share. A couple of things, like, have self-esteem for yourself. There is nothing like you need to know everything. For example, in our culture, if you ask a question to a teacher, if the teacher says, oh, I don't know this, can I refer to the book and come back and answer you tomorrow? It will be seriously offensive to the student. Oh, my teacher doesn't know this. Come on. The teacher doesn't have to know everything in the world. In the Western countries, they are very free to say that, hey, I'm sorry, I don't know about it. Thank you. I will refer to the book and come back and tell you tomorrow. So you don't have to know everything. Get rid of all of that culture. That's why I mentioned the concept called unlearn. Unlearn. Start respecting people. There is nothing like a hard-coded thing. Situational fluency. What you do not want for yourself, do not ask for others. Be proud of your culture. Laugh at yourself. See, for example, many people think that having self-confidence when you go and deliver a lecture is to have a very strong posture. Not necessarily. You can always go and then say, many people do this. Oh man, I am feeling a little a jitter. I know I'm shivering a little bit inside because this is the first time I'm talking. No problem. But what is a problem is if you mess up your lecture, if you have not prefer, because that's the actual purpose of the lecture. The purpose of the lecture is not that you look very confident. The purpose of the lecture is you have conveyed it correctly, conveyed the correct content correctly. So this is all of these things that need to be taught to the people, because these are all the practical things from the ground, dealing with enormous amount of students in my life, both in college and corporate. How did I mentor them? How did I make them very enabled? They did not even feel like they were learning something, because it's a way of life. It was part of life. There was nothing like, okay, come into this room, conference hall, I will teach you some soft skills. No, it is a everyday life. You give them respect, take respect from them. They keep learning slowly. They're free to do whatever they want to do, but it's just that you need to respect others' cultures and preferences. Next time when you meet a girl, if the girl says, I am sorry, I cannot shake hands with you, tell her that I respect you. I respect your preference. Thank you very much. And then say namaste. Now the whole world has moved to namaste, our best practice, right? Including the US. So where is this shaking hands gone now? Why? So what it means to say is, whatever suits to the purpose, do that. This is the most important element I wanted to talk about. Another important thing which I wanted to talk about is being honest, transparent, respecting all of that I told you. Another important thing is relationship management. Interpersonal skills are extremely important. What is interpersonal skills? Interpersonal skills are not, again, very plastic things. Interpersonal things are about being truthful to yourself, conveying what you feel in a proper way. And for example, when even these days in the corporate world, when younger kids go and attend the interviews, the management of the companies tell the HR, be very respectful to the person, even if they are not going to be selected. Why? Because after being rejected, they might go and become somebody else, maybe a government statutory making officer or a customer or whoever. He will remember that and he will give you the same treatment back when you go for a business with a customer, right? So treating other people, this is now a policy in many companies. In many good companies, the policy is even if the student is not selected in the interview, you be very respectful of the entire interaction of the interview, right? I'll share one important practical story of my life to depict the importance of relationship management. I was working in Microsoft in Bangalore. I was actually South India head for Microsoft Consulting Services. My family lived in Hyderabad, and we had just come from the US. Unfortunately, it was very difficult for my family to manage themselves without me. So I had a need to come back to Hyderabad. And then I was looking for a job. Then I got a call from 108 emergency service. And it's an icing on the cake. I always loved blending my career with the social service. So what else I can ask for? 108 emergency service delivery head, and in Hyderabad. So I came for an interview. And then I was waiting for the person my reporting manager or the interviewer to come into the conference hall. The lady comes and tells me that, sir, our manager is coming. And then I'm ready. And then the guy walks in. You know what? This is the guy I worked 20 years back in Satyam in 99. He was a good friend of mine. And at that time, we were peers. We are at the same level. And I was a flamboyant guy. I was liked by many, and I was a jovial person, active person. He was a very quiet guy. But I never disrespected him. I never told him that, hey, you are lesser than me or whatever. Then he comes into the room and then says, hey, MAQBOOL, it's you. your name was told to me as Basha, and I did not realize it. You're MAQBOOL. Then he said, what should I ask you, man? I know you, and I know your passion, and I'm not going to interview you. Go and talk to the HR about your compensation. What if I had done something wrong to him when my days were good, and he would have had a ball in the interview. Probably he may not have even enjoyed the interview, but also not given me a job. I'm not saying that for selfish gains you need to be like that. I'm saying be natural in respecting people and relationships, right? There is this attorney, the advocate, telling the doctor, if you had not sit by the patient bedside, if you had sit by the patient bedside for 2 minutes every day, you would not have been going through the legal suit today. What does it mean? I mean, it's a jovial, hypothetical example. Looks like the doctor forgot a scissors in the patient's stomach. Then he sued him. The lawyer is jovially saying, if you had been good with the patient, usually what happens is, the meaning of this example is, when you're good and respectful to people, they will condone, they will forgive your mistakes, because they will know that everybody makes a mistake. But if you are arrogant and indisciplined, and even if you make a mild mistake, you will be taken to task. So relationship management also is a very, very important topic, aspect in soft skills. So these are all things with practical scenarios and across the world what happened. For example, slurping. Have you eaten noodles? I'm sure you would have eaten noodles. How do you eat noodles at home? You will be like, you will do that. That's how the taste and the fun comes from. But in some countries, if you slurp your noodles, it is very offensive, right? But in some countries, if you don't slurp, it is offensive. If you go to Japan and China, again, I'm not saying if somebody doesn't do it, don't hold me responsible for that. But if you go to some countries like that, they eat with slurping, like that. In some countries, if you burp, oh, it is very offensive. In some countries, if you don't burp, it is considered offensive. What is the reason? That means you did not like the food. If you eat the food well, the host feels that you will get a burp. So he will feel that my food is not liked by the person, right? In one of the movies, in Ben-Hur, if you watch the Ben-Hur movie, the hero, the protagonist eats the food, and then he doesn't burp because he's from the Western country. The Middle Eastern guy tells him, burp, burp. He signs to him. Then he'll be forcibly like, oh, he does that, and then they will be very happy. If you leave food on the plate at the end of your meal, it is considered offensive in some cultures. In some cultures, if you eat everything, that is good, because the host feels that he has served, you have liked the food and he has served enough. For example, if you leave the food some on the plate, that means you have eaten enough, right? That's how you're leaving the food. But in some countries, they will think like you didn't like the food, that's why you're leaving it. So it's all contextual, right? It's all contextual. Just keep observing, have a mindset of respecting others' culture. Don't force yourself upon them. This is how you fail. And don't think that speaking fluent, good English is soft skills. It doesn't have to be. I will share a jovial example. No, may not be appropriate for the college students, so I will skip this. But what I'm saying is, what is offensive, what is not, all of that you have to keep observing from the context. What was okay? For example, some people in some countries, to point out towards something, you use a finger, right? And if you use certain other fingers, it is considered very offensive. So you got to be very aware of that. That's all you need to do. Don't think like it is a textbook. Soft skills is a textbook that is available in the market, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. You read it and you are enabled. Availability of good tools, carpentry tools in the market doesn't make you a good carpenter. No, it doesn't. You need to have that passion to imbibe all of those into you, and you should first of all have an intent and interest to do that. So this is what I have always seen across the world, and I wanted to share with you guys, rather than taking you through a very sweet presentation, and because it's not useful to you. Maybe you will like me on the presentation, and when you go to the company, you will be like, this MAQBOOL fellow unfortunately taught us something. We liked it at that time, but they are not working here in the company. So instead of you giving me great things here, I want you to say some good things about me when you go to the company. And I'm always interested to do that. recently I've released a course on DevOps. I'm sure many people would have heard about the new DevOps type of development culture, agile development culture in the world in software. I have released a small course for a very small money, no force, but if you can go and search for my courses and go through them. I'm a believer of giving courses for very small prices like 200 rupees, 300 rupees, something like that, because knowledge cannot be for a lot of money. I need money, of course. Don't misunderstand that I'm a saint actually, but I do not want it to be a very commercial activity, right? So DevOps, many people think that it is tools. DevOps is not tools. DevOps is a culture. It is a mindset. It is a commitment. It is a personality. DevOps is a personality which has a sense of urgency in him. Let me give you a small example and conclude this lecture. When you are having a relay race, any software development is about a teamwork, right? You do something, you gather requirements, you pass it on to the design team to the architecture team to the programmers do the testing team gives it to the release management guys, release management sends it to production, right? And then there are the operations guys who actually do the implement the product with the customer and collect feedback and then pass on back to the software development team. This is the usual cycle. What the problem is happening in the world is there is no connection between all of these guys. They are not like one family. Each part doesn't like the other part. That's where the whole problem came. So the DevOps came to say that it is always beneficial for you if you work like a family and team. So this is a cultural aspect, right? Now let me give you an example. In the relay race, what happens is one person runs very fast with the baton, right? The baton, then passes it on to the next person. The next person, if you observed it, he will already take a running stance. He will take a start because the inertia will prevent him to run faster if he is standing still. So he will be running already. This person comes very fast and gives the baton to him, and then he runs. That is the sense of urgency or the passion that you need to have for a DevOps personality. It is not about wearing a good shoe, good jerkin, and practicing a lot of. They're all very important. They are all very important. But what is important to is to have a sense of urgency and a good personality for DevOps to be successful. Many people in this now industry have managed have translated it DevOps as tools. DevOps means Docker. DevOps means Kubernetes. Fine, you need those things because for the person to run very fast, he needs a good shoe. But good shoe is not DevOps culture. So look at these differences, right? So unfortunately or fortunately, my courses are not very popular. As I said, the billions of stars example, the same thing. I keep telling something. Many people will still fall for the other one. When they go to the corporate world, they fail. And when I am around, I have taken care of them. But when I am not around, I'm not blowing my own trumpet anyway. But I'm just saying I'm very, very passionate guy with the younger minds, especially. That's probably one of the reasons why I look younger. Many people say this to me, but I'm actually 56. So this is what I had to share with you folks. My favorite subject, and I have sit on the other side half my life and in the college and been across the world, across cultures and roles, companies, countries. I've had the opportunity to observe them very closely. So I thought I will share all of these things with you if it can make a small guys. Again, when I say be like this, don't be like a machine in the college. Just have some fun too. I mean, having fun also is a part of. I was a mischievous guy myself, but I knew my boundaries. I knew what will be inappropriate, what will hurt others, what is not correct for my journey. All of this I knew. Otherwise, I am a fun-loving person myself. So I thought I will share all of these things with you. This is a subject which I can talk for years together. But for the paucity of time, I want it to be more interactive. Also, I want to give some time for you to ask me questions. One of my favorite is to straight face the questions and give you the truthful, forthright answers from my knowledge, not sweet, sugar-coated stuff. So I wanted to share this knowledge, guys. So I hope it has been useful. And I will just check my notes. If you give me just a couple of seconds to see if I have something more important that I have not missed to share with you. Otherwise, we will end the lecture here and look for some questions. One of the things which I probably, I think the PPT will be shared with you. Ma'am, is it true that the PPT that I gave will be shared with the people?
Yes, sir. If you wish, we can definitely share.
Yeah, because
Normally,
yeah, please.
Normally, as per policy, we usually don't share your PPTs, our speakers' PPTs, because this video will be ever available in our YouTube channel. Since you have not shared your PPT, we would be definitely sharing the PPT with our participants.
Thank you. Let me see what kind of things I might want to share with them, and then I'll share with you actually.
Sure, sir. Definitely.
If needed, because there are certain
Sure.
things which I wanted to cover here. The final elements that there is a difference between. Hold on, I'll just pull that through. Let me share my screen a little bit here.
Yes, sir.
So that they will understand this actually. So, can everybody see my screen, ma'am? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
So let me just go through very quickly the points that I have kind of missed, maybe. So yeah, so I think I've covered more or less. Yeah, one of the things which I kind of wanted to say, my approach whenever I trained people is I always want myself to be progressively unnecessary. After a while, somebody comes and tells me that MAQBOOL, we don't need you. Thank you very much. I will feel that I'm more successful rather than every time somebody coming and asking me some keys and all that stuff. And the second one is if you give a person a fish, you are actually giving him a meal for once. But if you teach him or her in the art of catching fish, you give him or her a meal for the lifetime. This is one of my favorite approaches that I always use in my entire life, whether it is college or the corporate. So, we have covered all of these things, and probably there are certain things which I want to see. I've mentioned that there is some, when you're going to the corporate world, it is always better to, teach about what is the culture, the turf, the people, the process at a very broad level to the students, so that they don't get a cultural shock when they go to the corporate world. They go into the reception and suddenly they'll be like, oh, we are lost here. So maybe incorporating a little bit of that subject, and also the teachers should go into the industry for about some time, maybe 2-3 weeks, and the industry people coming into the college and teach them for 2-3 weeks. This kind of things might help. Just teach them some basic. I'm sure as part of software development or computer engineering, these things will be taught. But I just thought maybe for others who are not exposed to that, teaching them will be a useful thing actually. So this is something which I talked about at length. Wear a big smile always, but smile doesn't mean that. I'll come to that. How smile can be misunderstood if you don't handle it well. So these are some of the etiquette skills. EQ is soft skills are emotional intelligence quotient. Hard skills are intelligence quotient. There are professional etiquettes. Situational fluency. All of these I have. Another thing important thing which I wanted to mention here is many people in our culture, they do not feel comfortable saying no when they actually have to, right? Unfortunately, in our culture, saying no is actually mapped to arrogance or indiscipline. Unfortunately not. When you go into the company, when somebody asks you how much time will you be able to do this, is it possible, they will say yes, just to impress the other person, when actually they cannot do. What is the problem with this? It will create an extraordinary amount of damage to the entire project business. So learn to say no when you must, but maybe use your own situational fluency or personality to be very obedient and polite to say no. You don't have to be very harsh in saying no, go. You don't have to do that. So be passionate, do what you love, or love what you do. Then be objective. Role based it is. We are all in a company to work. There is nothing personal there. The power of basics and simplicity in solutions. Acknowledge and accept mistake if you are at fault. Don't be defensive about work. This is another problem I have seen. When I say acknowledge and accept mistake if you are at fault, people take this so seriously that they are so happy and interested to always say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You don't have to. Only if you have to say sorry if you are at fault, right? And then empathize with others, be compassionate, be at peace with yourself. These are all small things. Don't too much. See, this is one important thing which I wanted to mention. A smile, but not laugh at. This is very important. There is a small difference. There is a small gray area between the two. Communication, not blabber. language expression, not vocabulary verbose, sense of humor, not sarcasm, respectful, obedient, not sycophant, careful. So these are all things. I'll just flash it on the screen for a while, just read it, but just imbibe them into your personality in a natural way rather than just having it like a 1, 2, 3 steps. I'll just wait for about 10 seconds and for you to read that, and then I will wind it off. Did you guys know that the NASSCOM, the National Association of Software and Services Companies India, it says that only 10% of the passed out students are employable just because of the soft skills problem. The Infosys mentor Mr. Narayan Murthy also said, even if you are coming from IIT, if you don't have soft skills, you will fail in the long run in your careers, in your journey. I think I am done, ma'am, from my side. As I said, I can keep talking forever, but I think I am done on this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think let's move on with this question and answer session, sir. With your permission, shall we proceed?
Please. I want these questions to be fearless, but also decent enough and polite, appropriate to the context.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mohammed has asked, what is the biggest challenge for students post-COVID-19?
Post-COVID-19, the biggest challenge from this context, I'm saying there are other challenges because, for example, I have not washed dishes at home for a long time. May it be because of whatever reasons. I was in the US and we had a dishwasher and all that thing. But in COVID, I am mopping the house and washing dishes every day. That's a different harm. I'm not going to talk about it. But from this context of COVID, there is a lot of stress. There is a lot of stress. There is a lot of lack of interaction with other people, which are very important for soft skills. Interaction, again, I don't mean physical, meaning going close to each other. So this stress, tools and technologies, you have to interact with virtually, not in person, not attending the formal offices, all of these are kind of hampering your learning, especially opening up your personalities a little bit, which you have to continuously interact with various types of people virtually and kind of normalize this, but it is a disadvantage.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kanakaya has asked how to inculcate soft skills at family level.
Actually, very nice question. Let me say the other way, actually. Your family automatically teaches you soft skills. Unless you have a problem with your brother or your wife or something, I don't know. That's a very common, normal thing. But I'm saying what family teaches you is soft skills. Just take them to the corporate, not the other way. Don't learn in the college the soft skills and bring it to the family. You understand what I'm saying? It's a very good question. So family teaches values. College teaches values. Your friends teach value. Be very sure to be around that kind of personalities, around that kind of learning. I'll give you a very small example, which will answer your query. There is a saying, when you're probably thinking that your dad was right, you already have a son who thinks you are wrong. So be good with the family members. I mean, just treat them respectfully, collaborate with them, work with them, help them. Don't think like, most of the families it happens. Don't think like they have to serve me. No, it's just the other way, right? I mean, be very closely collaborating with in these stressful times, especially, it is very important to collaborate with the families. One lighter heart example I'll give you: eat with the family, no matter what, every day on the table. Try to eat with the family. The family that eats together stays together. So bring those values back to the corporate and the college.
Thank you, sir. So I think due to time constraint, I think we can wind up with the session. And shall I proceed with vote of thanks and everything?
I am actually sorry. I apologize. Maybe I eaten their time of asking questions. Guys, my contact information will always be with you. I think it will be shared. I don't mind. Please feel free to write to me, interact with me. I really love this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, actually. Ma'am.
Many thanks for the inspiring talk and a wonderful session, sir. This was an extremely informative, enjoyable, and above all, a valuable session. And I look forward to putting some of these techniques which I've learned today into practice. Looking at the feedback, all the participants have rated the session as excellent, and some of the words they used to describe it include thoughtful, inspiring, meaningful, and motivating. Such positive feedback from our participants motivates us to produce more quality programs of this kind. I now call upon Ms. Vasanthi, Assistant Professor from the Department of Human Resource Management, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, Madam.
Good evening to all of you. It's my immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of our university and Department of Human Resource Management. I extend my sincere thanks to our chief guest, Mr. MAQBOOL BASHA, CEO, Business Criticalys Info Management Private Limited, who spared his time on from his busiest schedule. I'm sure today your thoughts more definitely enlighten the young minds and take them to a new career path. My sincere thanks to Mr. Shabur Ali, Director, IIHRD, for giving an insight into the various courses available for our student fraternity. My heartfelt thanks to the students for active participation and all the participation who registered today. I would like to place my sincere thanks to Dean Dr. Manivannan and Deputy Dean Dr. Rajavarman for their unflinching support. I thank my sincere thanks to my head of the department, Dr. Jayam, for her untiring effort, and my thanks to all my colleagues, Ms. Ramya and Ms. Niveda, for a proactive and a dedicated effort. I would like to place my thanks to Ms. Akshaya and Mr. Ganesh Babu on the tech support. Thanking you all and have a pleasant evening.
Thank you, Madam. At this happy moment, we would like to present our appreciation certificate to the chief guest. I request Ms. Akshaya to display the appreciation certificate. Thank you, Ms. Akshaya. The feedback and assessment form is available in the YouTube description box. You are requested to complete and submit the form before 6 p.m. today. Later, the form will be deactivated. The e-certificate for participation will be sent to your registered email ID within 3 working days. We have come to an end of this program. Hope everyone has gained knowledge with the satisfaction of presenting a good webinar. We wish to sign off today and meet you all in the next program. Don't forget to submit your feedback form and subscribe our YouTube channel, Dr. MGR University Face to Digital Learning, for further updates about our programs and videos. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.